Guys, and welcome back to checking out the shrine again. So we're looking right now, we've got Autodidact, which is actually a perk that comes in with Adam. It is also not a really great perk, but we'll get into a couple of details really soon about that. We got Calm Spirits, we have Nurse's Calling, and we have Spirit's Fury. Now this this shrine really favors killers in my opinion, and I'll explain that in a second why. So what does Autodidact do? Autodidact, when you're healing an ally, you have a 25% penalty, right? Every time you land a skill check, you get a 15, and then I believe it's 20 or 25. I think it is 25 on the last stack. It's not a very good perk, right? When you heal them, you get a token, and each token allows your next heal, as long as you land a skill check, to be higher. Keep in mind this is not affected by a medkit. You might be wondering what I'm referring to, right? Running a perk such as Botany Knowledge speeds up the time of healing a survivor by a large percentage, 33%. However, it does not increase the chance of proccing a skill check. There is only one perk that adds a chance of increasing skill checks in the game. That is called Spine Chill. Do keep in mind, you could be running a medkit with Surgical Syringe and the Needle. That also increases it, but this perk only works if you're not using a medkit. So what does it do? When you're healing another survivor and you land a skill check, you'll notice it'll go back 25% of the way the first time. When you build up enough tokens, at 5 tokens, when you land a skill check, you will heal them 80% of the bar. Now, it takes 32 seconds to self-care, 16 seconds to be healed by an ally. If the killer has Sloppy Butcher, it's about 20 seconds to use a medkit on yourself without any enhancements. And it's about 40 seconds to be self-cared, right? Because it adds a huge penalty bonus. This perk, however, counters that. If you start healing Jake and it's going up, and then you land a skill check when you have maximum tokens, it'll heal him 80% straight away. This could be devastating for healing in the basement if the killer's coming and you might be able to get a heal off, then another heal off. Doesn't work on yourself, keep that in mind. I do not rate this perk, right? There are better options on the table, such as Will Make It. Will Make It is a reliable 100% faster healing, does not stack with any other enhancements in terms of Botany Knowledge. However, it does stack with medkits such as a Trauma medkit or a Ranger's medkit, the green one. It does enhance it, and if you run add-ons on that, it also enhances it as well. But keep in mind, it takes 16 seconds to heal someone else. If you're running a green medkit with the gel dressing and the abdominal dressing, and you got a 25% penalty, and you're running Botany Knowledge, instead of healing that guy in 8 seconds, you'll be healing him in about 4 seconds. 8 seconds isn't a long time. Remember, every time you land a great skill check, that makes it go up by a second as well, or preserves 1 charge as well. You'll notice to heal with a brown medkit consumes all 16 charges. However, if you land a great, it preserves 1 charge. Therefore, you keep 1 charge left in the medkit to heal. Therefore, it takes 16 charges to heal with a medkit. If you're under the effect of Chlorophobia for reduced healing and Sloppy Butcher, it still doesn't matter. It'll still take only 16 charges. Charges are consumed per second. However, when you have a penalty put on you, that penalty is applied, but your charges do not convert. So say you're using 1 charge per second. If you are now healing 50% slower, you're still using 1 charge every 1 second worth of work that has happened, not every 1 second worth of medkit. The only thing here that can counter that kind of play is Overwhelming Presence. Overwhelming Presence makes you consume 80, 90, and 100% more of the item you are using. Therefore, instead of 1 charge per second, it'll be 2 charges per second. Therefore, you'll only get 8 charges out and heal halfway with the brown medkit if you are in the terror radius of somebody using that. Keep in mind, they can have a 32-meter terror radius, calm add-on, plus distressing. Now their terror radius is about 55 yards. Monitor and Abuse in Chase, now they have like a 61, 62-meter terror radius. It can get big, chat. Every guy likes a big terror radius. Right, moving on, I do not recommend this perk. Like I was saying, Will Make It allows you 100% faster healing. You unhook a guy, you got 8 seconds to heal him full. If you have a medkit, chuck it in him too. You'll also be able to heal him quicker. On top of this, the strongest perk out of them all is Borrowed Time. But before I get into that, why is Will Make It still a valid candidate? Now, there are a couple of weak reasons, right? Healing someone under the hook can be very beneficial in terms of you have the bonus on you after you hook save for 100 seconds. Right? That is a long time. That is over 1.5 minutes, 1 minute and 40 seconds of you having 100% faster healing speed on an ally, not yourself. Right? Can work very devastatingly with empathy. Now, I'm not saying rely on this, but if you have empathy and you see 2 hurt people on the same gen or 2 hurt people miles away and you hook save and now you have the ability to full heal them quick, keep in mind, obviously, if you're playing on a map like the game, this is very beneficial. However, if you're playing on a map like the Temple, where it's a huge long map, it's going to take you 30 seconds travel time, it's not really worth it. It can work decently. I'm not recommending it, but empathy goes hand in hand really well alongside using words. Using will make it. Okay. On the opposite end of the scale, you can run Prove Thyself and Bond as a combo to lead the killer away from your allies doing jennies, or assist your allies on generators to allow it to go faster. But that's a completely different shrine for another time when it comes out. Autodidact, I cannot recommend it. On top of Will Make It being a better version of healing, there is one perk which overtakes Will Make It by tenfold, and that is Borrowed Time. Borrowed Time allows you to get hit by the killer, and then you have 25 seconds to mend. However, as of a recent patch, if the killer hits you... 1 second, sorry guys. Sorry, I get a bit of the hiccups here. If a killer hits you and you need to mend, as long as you're within the killer's heartbeat, you do not need to mend. He doesn't need to be in chase. You remember that annoying Legion that looked at the ground and followed you while your timer went down? It's not a thing anymore. If he hits you and you're still in his terror radius, you can work on a Jenny if you want. You don't have to mend. Keep that in mind. 1 second. All the interruptions today. So Autodidact is a poor man's Will Make It. Will Make It is a perk that just appears in the shrine. On top of that, you also have Borrowed Time, which is a rich man's version, which is a build perk, which is unlocked at level 35, followed by at level 30, Left Behind is, and at level 40, Unbreakable is. Right, the next perk here is Calm Spirits. Now, Calm Spirits can be a very powerful perk, depending on a few circumstances. Okay, if you are hit by a clown's bottle, or you enter a clown's gas area of effect, quick numbers are 15% hinder to your movement speed. You're no longer 100%. You go a little bit slower than that. Keep that in mind. You're at 85% movement speed, and you can't fast forward. You can only medium vault, which doesn't matter too much now that you have window momentum when you're going through a window. This being said, whenever you leave the smoke, you're still under the effect of the smoke initially. With Calm Spirits, if you walk into a clown's smoke, you do not scream. You'll still suffer all the penalties if he was running the glass of bleach and the ether to make it a 20% hinder and a 2 seconds, a 3 second slow rather than a 2 second. If it's ether 15% rather than 10%, you still suffer the penalties. However, you will not scream out and give the killer a notification. Very powerful if you know you're versing a clown. On top of that, if you are versing a doctor, he shocks or makes you scream, you still do the animation. You're still animation locked, but you don't scream. He doesn't know if he hits you. So normally that doc that's smart enough to shock you, change stance for the 5% movement speed to come around the corner and hit you, he might be indecisive with that because you didn't scream. He might not know that unless he knows you have Calm Spirits. Keep in mind, this can be very, very lethal if you don't let the killer see you all game and you just go around and do jennies. Another thing to note, it doesn't just affect those two killers, okay? Iron Maiden, when you get out of a locker, you scream in terror, revealing your location to the killer, and you have exposure on you for 4 or 5 seconds. You still have exposure. You still scream, but your scream is silent and the killer doesn't get a notification. So you jump in that locker to hide from barbecue and chili and you come out, you do the scream, he doesn't know you're there. It's still okay. Make sure you wait more than 4 seconds though, because barbecue and chili lasts 4 seconds. If you come out after 2 seconds, you will still have barbecue and chili effect on you for 2 seconds. So just be smart. Count to 4 in your head. Count 4 out loud. It's okay. Right. Also, Calm Spirits, Infectious Fright. Now, if you watch my Nurse gameplay, you'll notice I can be pretty lethal as Nurse. I'm not saying I'm the best, but I can be pretty devastating if the right circumstance, the right map, the right amount of altruism is presented. I run Infectious Fright, Discordance. I think it's Discordance. Discordance or Discordance. It's one of the two. It's the one that reveals jennies when multiple people work on it. So I run Infectious Fright, Discordance, Barbecue and Chili, and Pop Goes the Weasel, right? Very, very lethal Nurse build. Now that jennies are an option at 5 and 4 gens, the hatch is an option at 5 and 4 gens, it really rewards survivors for doing nothing. There's no point in running Ruin. This is good because it breaks the meta of Ruin. It allows you to step out of your comfort zone. You might go Devour Hope. You might go Third Seal. You might just run Knockout and go for Slugs. You might just change your gameplay completely. It allows a lot more options, but at the same time, I do not believe a survivor should be rewarded for not doing anything by getting the hatch. It also comes in with the endgame collapse, which is a completely different story. Calm Spirits by itself, if none of those effects take effect, it takes this effect as well. Keep this in mind. Woodland creatures, such as crows, there is no such thing as deers, there's no such things as squirrels, this just refers to crows. Crows no longer fly away when you're nearby at an 80, 90, 100% chance. So you walk past a crow, it doesn't fly away. You might go, that's useless. A player like myself, I use crows to track. I know a crow takes 20 seconds to respawn. If I come to an area and there's no crow, I'll be like, okay, I'll check left, I'll check right. If the crow respawns, I know it took me 5 seconds to do that. That crow flew away 15 seconds ago. Where could you have traveled in 15 seconds with running? Scratches are 10 seconds. Devin, they're very hard to read. He might have lightweight. I can weigh all these equations up, which I do out loud so my viewers can understand what I'm thinking, how I'm thinking, and how I track and hunt people down. Crows can be devastating. They make a loud sound. They make massive visual indicators on maps like Disturbed Ward. You just got to be very careful when setting up a crow, because that just might end your life, right? Can be a good perk. There are better options on the table. I would like to see Calm Spirits make a comeback, but it can be utilized under a lot of circumstances. And heaven forbid you actually get a doctor or a clown. They're in deep trouble if you're running this perk. Moving on, next we have a Nurse's Calling. Now, a Nurse's Calling is a powerful perk in the right hands. When a survivor is healing or being healed, whether they be in dying state getting healed by an ally, whether hurt or injured getting healed by an ally, where they're healing an ally, their aura is revealed, not their allies, but their aura is revealed for however long they're healing, as long as they're within a 20-meter heartbeat, a 20-meter range, a 24-meter range, or a 28-meter range, whether it's tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. Now, basic numbers. Let's take the Trapper, for example. The Trapper moves at 115% movement speed and has a 32-meter tear radius. A 32-meter tear radius, however, you could see them heal 28 meters away. At 115%, you could probably close about 1.5 meters per second. Therefore, the second the heartbeat starts at the faintest bit, they need to stop healing. If they're quick enough reflexes, you won't see them. However, let's take a step back. Let's look at the Hag, for example. The Hag has a 24-meter heartbeat. She can teleport 40 meters. She can run Mono and Abuse, making her 24-meter heartbeat 16 meters. Now she has a 16-meter heartbeat running Nurse's Calling at 28 meters. She can see you healing 28 meters away, but you only get a notification when she's within 16 meters. And she can teleport 40 meters. Now she's sounding pretty scary. You can also chuck on Make Your Choice. Chuck on Make Your Choice. You can now teleport 40 meters like before without add-ons and instantly injure a person as long as you're out of 32 meters. She can be devastating with Devour Hope. She can be devastating with Save the Best for Last. You hit a survivor and you have more than 4 stacks. If he runs over another trap, you can teleport straight away and hit him again. It can be very devastating in the right hands. For a novice kind of Hag that has unlockable teachables, I would recommend Ruin, Nurse's Calling, Save the Best for Last. I would actually not recommend that. That's more of an advanced kind of thing. So we'll go Ruin, Nurses, Mono and Abuse, and Make Your Choice. That's what I'd recommend for a rookie kind of Hag. You don't have Make Your Choice, chuck on Sloppy Butcher instead. It's not going to do the same amount of damage, but it can still be lethal. The Nurse's Calling can be terrifying. Now let's talk about the most terrifying heartbeat killer of them all, Michael Myers. Michael Myers in tier 1 has a 6-meter heartbeat. In tier 2, his 6-meter... Oh, by the way, if he has Mono and Abuse, that 6-meter heartbeat goes to 0 meters. You can't go minus 2-meter heartbeat. The heartbeat can't be inside Michael Myers. That doesn't make sense. Okay, so Michael Myers has a 16-meter heartbeat. Michael Myers now in stage 2. Sorry, Michael Myers in tier 1 has a 6-meter heartbeat. In tier 2, he has a 16-meter heartbeat. A 16-meter heartbeat in tier 2. He runs Dead Rabbit. 25% of that 16 meters gone straight down the drain. So that's just removing a hell of a lot of heartbeat. However, if you run Mono and Abuse, you will notice at the end of a lobby, it tells you what perks you are running from left to right. It'll also say offering and then add-ons. So it goes perks, add-ons, offerings. This is how it will always go in terms of the game reads from left to right, like reading a book. That's how it reads. So if you have something, I was trying to explain this earlier to my chat. If you're running a med kit with 25% less charges and faster healing with 16 charges, that's the correct way to run it. If you run it the other way with more charges and 25% penalty, it cuts into that, therefore you're losing a bit of the bonus. Add-on order does matter. Now that we've confirmed that, moving back on to Michael Myers, if you're running Mono and Abuse and then Dead Rabbit, Dead Rabbit gets a 25% penalty from Mono and Abuse after Mono and Abuse. So here we go. So you have a 16-meter heartbeat. You now have Mono and Abuse. You have an 8-meter heartbeat. You now have Dead Rabbit. Take away 25%. That's 2. You now have a 6-meter heartbeat in tier 2 while not in chase. You now have a 6-meter heartbeat in tier 2, and you can have Nurse's Calling and see somebody heal 28 meters away. That's 22 meters of movement and no heartbeat that you can see him healing. That's pretty damn scary. I personally don't recommend this perk on Michael Myers. There are better options on the table. I currently run Brutal interchangeable with Enduring, depending on what kind of survivors I think I'm versing. Distortance for situational awareness. Monitor and Abuse, obviously, for the smaller heartbeat. And I run Corrupt Intervention. That way I can get out of Tier 1. However, while we're talking about Michael Myers, he also excels in Window Vault. In Tier 3, Michael Myers gets a default heartbeat of 32 meters. It is as if he's not running any enhancements. Remember, Dead Rabbit reduces your heartbeat in Tier 2, but increases it in Tier 3 by 25%. This being said, he has a 32-meter heartbeat in tier 3 with no add-ons or perks. If you run Modern Abuse, that 32-meter goes right down to 24 meters. So still, he has a lethal heartbeat. He has 24 meters, which is the Spirit's heartbeat. So the Spirit moving at 110% movement speed, obviously not phasing at 176, but moving at 110% movement speed with a 24-meter heartbeat. Myers is the same thing with a lethal. Keep in mind, while he's tier 3, he also gets the longest lunge in the game. He gets that extra inch that every guy wants. And he also, on top of that, gets 10% faster vaulting speed. To keep that in mind. Stacking with Bamboozled, yes. Also stacks with Fired Up, not very important. That is Nurse's Calling. Moving on to our next perk. Hang on a second. Some nice water. Right, moving on to our next perk. This is Spirit's Fury. Holy shit. Wow. Where to begin? Are you tired of getting pallet stunned by survivors? Are you tired of getting teabagged on the other end of pallets? Rest assured, if you are running this perk Spirit's Fury, you have no problems in the world. You can walk into a pallet, providing you are running Enduring. You get stunned, 75% recovery, break it. Walk into another pallet, break it. At tier 3, you only have to break 2 pallets. At tier 2, you have to break 3, and as you can see right here, at tier 1, you break 4 pallets. The next pallet you walk into automatically breaks during your recovery animation. If you are not running Enduring, it will break at default speed. So if you're running Brutal and Spirit's Fury, you're not going to get as much bang for your buck. If you're running Spirit's Fury and Enduring, let's say you're playing as the Billy, you lunge through the pallet, you get the hit, you get pallet stunned, you recover, the pallet breaks, you lunge through again, and you hit him almost straight away. Brilliant. You lunge through the pallet, he pallet stuns you, it breaks, then you chainsaw him instead. There are so many options with Spirit's Fury. It is lethal and by far one of the strongest perks in the game. Why is it one of the strongest perks in the game? Because every map has pallet. Dun dun dun. It could be used in every single situation available. It could be used on the game. It could be used on Rotten Fields. It could be used on Larry's Institute. It could be used everywhere. However, to get the most amount of bang for your buck, you need to run Enduring with it. Now it's not looking like an amazing perk. Now, it's still good. It's still good, right? Don't get me wrong. Running Enduring and Spirit's Fury, you're probably going to want situational awareness to know where the survivors are, right? You're probably going to chuck on Barbecue or Bitter Murmur or Distortance, something to know where they are. And then you're going to want something to slow down the game. Are you going to run Pop Goes the Weasel? Most likely not. You're probably going to run Ruin or Corrupt Intervention. That's your build complete. You're done. As opposed to going, I'm going to play Trapper. I'm going to run Corrupt Intervention, Devour Hope, Agitation, and Brutal Strength. That is an old school Trapper build, obviously with pushing aside Corrupt Intervention because it's a new perk. That is an old school Trapper build where, you know, somebody steps in a trap, you pick him up real quick, you take him to hook, you leave, you go somewhere else, you get another guy down, you pick him up, you hook, and then you get 3 stacks of Devour Hope. A lot of people underrate how powerful Agitation is. Agitation to this day is one of my favorite perks. It's my 6th favorite, alright? My favorite is Pop Goes the Weasel, Distortance, so I know where multiple people are on generators, Make Your Choice, Barbecue and Chili, Enduring, Agitation. They are my top 6 favorite perks. Now, I do run Agitation on Nurse now and then. If I want to spice up my Nurse build, I might go Agitation, Devour Hope, Barbecue and Chili, and Pop Goes the Weasel or Distortance in accordance with how comfortable I'm feeling. I always recommend a form of Generator Aggression. Now, if you are going to run Ruin, I always recommend that you run Make Your Choice instead. Obviously, it's dependent on what killer you are. You don't need it on Nurse. You don't need it on Spirit. It can be lethal on both. I run it on Spirit, not Nurse. You know, if you're on the Billy, you don't need Make Your Choice. So if you're running Ruin, I recommend the counterpart, which would be Make Your Choice. We're excluding Billy, etc. If you're running Devour Hope, I recommend Pop Goes the Weasel. Obviously, this tailors in accordance with what killers you're running, what add-ons you're running. Do you know what map you're going to? Are you playing any offerings? Are they playing any offerings? There's a lot of things that weigh up. Spirit's Fury can be lethal on people like Michael Myers. Can you imagine a Michael Myers coming around the corner with a 6-meter heartbeat, an 8-meter heartbeat in tier 2? No, let's give him the Dead Rabbit. You're running the Dead Rabbit add-on. You're running the J Memorial for faster stalking time. You've got Monitor and Abuse, Spirit's Fury, Enduring, and Distortance or Ruin. There you go. You're coming around the corner, you see survivors on a generator, and you just run up to them, and you lunge, and you get pallet stunned, but you recover straight away. You pop tier 3, you down one, and you go straight for the other one to down him. You got one player down, one player immobilized, and you're in chase with another. Two players immobilized, meaning when you down that other guy and you come back to pick that guy up, somebody needs to come to save, and somebody on the generator needs to stick to the Jenny, which is the correct play, or come in. The correct method is one on the hook, one downed, one in chase, therefore the last person has to be altruistic. That was my main form of playstyle, but now that Hatch is an option at 5 gens, it's kind of had to make me tweak my playstyle a little bit. I can recommend Spirit's Fury. It is a powerful perk, especially on a Billy with map pressure and momentum. You know, you're chasing a guy, you go to hit him and he throws a pallet down, break the pallet, chainsaw across the map. The guy across the map doesn't know you have Spirit's Fury. He does. He might know. You know what I mean? It's really obvious though. Some people get too thirsty with Spirit's Fury and they keep lunging at every pallet, and a survivor will just keep running it. And if you lunge 3 times at the pallet, survivor's not dumb. He's going to know you have Spirit's Fury, and the survivor might, instead of running the loop that way, might go round to the right and then round the back wall, and then you're too busy looking and you're like, fuck, where did he go? You can get caught out like that. Be very careful. Be patient, cool, calm, and collected. If you don't get hit through the pallet, it's fine. You got a free pallet and then an M1, and then you can rotate away. If you do lunge and get the hit as they pallet stun you and then recover and hit him again, Bob's your uncle. That's a brilliant way to do. I run this perk sometimes on the clown, because the clown can hinder your movement speed by 15%, 20 with the glass of bleach, don't get me wrong, and then he can lunge through. Currently, I've changed my clown build to Bamboozled again. As of the recent nerf to clown, I think Bamboozled is very important for him. The nerf being that Window Vault now gives you momentum. Back in the day when Window Vault didn't give you momentum, if you tried to vault a window, the clown could lunge from ages away and hit you through the window. Doesn't work that way anymore. So I also don't really run it on my Billy. It's substitute and interchangeable. Currently on my Billy, I run Ruin, Barbecue, Spirit's Fury, interchangeable with Bamboozled and Enduring. However, if I know what map I'm going to, if I choose to run Tuning Guide, Thompson Mix, Primer Bulb, something to enhance my chainsaw speed, Spark Plugs, I will remove Ruin and put on Pop Goes the Weasel, because I feel more comfortable with that. Keep in mind, the Billy's got a 2.2 second chainsaw, and you can't chainsaw anyone at the tires. You got to be very smart to make it work, yeah? Alright guys, that's going to conclude this week's Shrine. If you guys want to check out some, or if you have any questions about Dead by Daylight, don't hesitate to check out my live streams here at Twitch, where I have some beautiful people in my community waiting for me. So guys,